Hello, my loves. My name is Sarah, and I have been teaching on manifestation since 2018. And recently, I learned this concept from Melanie Ann Layo, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So, I want you guys to think about a timeline from birth until death, our life. And really, this starts before birth. Okay, so I have a 2-year-old son named Gabe. He's absolutely amazing. And one of the things that I love about parenting is watching him evolve. If you have a child, you know what I mean. It's like prior to birth, there's just so many quantum leaps that happen inside of the creation of a baby. So for me, it started with peeing on that stick and seeing that it was positive. And nowadays, we like to go on the websites, what to expect, baby timeline, right? And we get these little emails that are like, okay, this week the baby is the size of a grape. And this week, the baby's lungs are developing and the baby is the size of a grapefruit or whatever. And you're continuing to get these emails and you can see these quantum leaps that are happening inside of this being as they go from this little spark to now this embryo to now this baby to now this living breathing thing that is earthside. And it's like so quickly we see these quantum leaps that are happening inside of this being, and then the baby is born, right? And then we continue to have these quantum leaps. I mean, from birth until 3 months, you're noticing how much more this baby can do. And then all of a sudden we get to 6 months and the baby's rolling over. And you're like, oh my God, like this baby used to only be able to like poop and pee and barely open its eyes. And now it's like scrolling and rolling over. And then we get to crawling. It's another quantum leap, a new version of this baby. And you're like, holy crap, now this baby is, moving. And then we go from crawling or from crawling to now walking, and you're watching this baby walk and you're like, what in the world? I still remember when it was just the positive pregnancy test. And then we go to talking and expressing thought and formulating, and we just quantum leap, quantum leap, quantum leap, quantum leap. My 15-year-old, I'm actually just moved my office into what was her previous room, because me and her dad have always shared custody. And just recently, she's 15, she just got her first job, her first internship. She's doing summer school so she can get the college credit. She already knows what college she wants to go to. She is rapidly growing into an adult, right? And so she made the decision that it would be easier for her and where she's at in life right now to have one home base instead of, spending the nights at both homes. And, from a personal point of view, that was rather hard for me. She quantum leaped and grew up a little bit quicker than I had anticipated, right? And there's something really exciting about that. And then there's also this mourning, right? Because it's like I'll look at old pictures of her or I'll look at old videos of her and I'll be like, oh, my baby. And oftentimes we don't even realize how much it affects us to over time grieve out the previous versions of our children as they grow up. But this is just how evolution goes, where we will quantum leap into new ways of being. Now, I want you to think of yourself, and I want you to, let's just say that here you are 5 years old, and here you are 15 years old, and here you are 20 years old, and then you're 30 years old, right? And I want you to think about how different you are from 5 to 15. How different were you from 5 to 15? This version of you is completely different than this version of you, which is completely different than this version of you. And gosh, as much as you think you know at 15, 20 is completely different than 15. And then you become 30 and you're completely different than you were in your 20s, because we are continuously evolving, quantum leaping into new versions of ourselves. When we think of this baby crawling, as the baby starts to grow, the baby doesn't learn to crawl faster. Eventually, the baby starts walking. And then we don't just learn to walk faster. Eventually, we use our coordination and develop the skills to bring in tools and to be able to ride a bike, to be able to drive. And all of a sudden, the way that we are moving, the way that we are transporting ourselves from one place to another completely changes. And when you're here, you can't possibly fathom what this looks like. Until you are the new version of yourself, you just don't quite understand who you're going to be. And then a very interesting thing happens. We get to right around here and we just stop quantum leaping. Melanie talks about why she thinks this happens, and she thinks it happens because we are surrounded by people who just stop growing, who stop evolving, who stop embracing and allowing themselves to grow into the next version of themselves. They stop becoming. And instead, they're like, oh, at this point, I'm just aging. At this point, I am just me and I'm just aging. But really, what we're doing is we're dying at that point. But quantum leaps are still available to us. In fact, they are natural for us. When we were growing and evolving and becoming these new versions of ourselves, it wasn't really intentional. It wasn't something that we had to think about. It just sort of happened in the evolution of us existing. And we became a new version and a new version and a new version and a new version until we didn't anymore. And what I would like to offer you today is the idea that you can continue to quantum leap into new versions of yourself that you didn't even realize were possible, even as adults. If you've heard people say before, I had this quantum leap, and you're like, what the fuck are they talking about? And then inside of this quantum leap, inside of this becoming, you see them attain so much. Maybe you've watched people manifest millions of dollars, a dream business, the most incredible relationship, these amazing opportunities. And you watch them become completely different versions of themselves. And so you're watching that and you're going, oh man, I want that too. I want the house. I want the money. I want the cars. I want the relationship. And so what I've seen in all my years of teaching manifestation is that people focus on how to manifest the next thing. How do I manifest the money? How do I manifest the new clients? How do I manifest that dream house that I want? And instead of focusing on who they are becoming and allowing the manifestation of those things to be a byproduct of who they are quantum leaping into, what they do is they remain the same and they just try and manifest more of what they have as who they are in this moment. So the 30-year-old that thinks, I'm already grown, I'm already an adult, I already have it all figured out, this is who I am, this is what I believe. And they're so attached to that identity. So when they go to manifest, instead of manifesting a quantum leap, an evolved version of themselves, what they do is they start to focus on manifesting more of what they have already. So more money, more clients, I don't know, better, a better promotion, more levels, whatever it is. They want more of what they think is already available to them. And the problem with this is that in order to have these things, these things exist outside of us. So what we do is we abandon our evolution. We abandon the becoming more. And instead, we start to focus on the accumulation of more. And when we focus on the accumulation of more, we start denying ourselves in order to chase. So I'll give you this example. Clients. When I first started working one-on-one with clients, it was so exhilarating because I was like, I got one client. And then all of a sudden I had two clients. And then all of a sudden I had 5 clients. And then all of a sudden I had 10 clients. And I'm attracting and I'm manifesting more of the things, because what comes with those clients is more money, right? More recognition, more visibility, more referrals. And as this thing is growing outside of me, this thing that I am creating, what ends up happening is the more that I am focused on attaining more of that, the less time I actually spend on me becoming. So what this looks like is, man, one client felt really good, 2 clients felt really exciting, 5 clients, oh my gosh, okay, well, I want more, right? I want more money, I want more stuff, I want more. Oh man, 10 clients, okay, whew, man, this is exhausting, okay, guess I gotta knock a few things off of my schedule. 15 clients, 20 clients, 25 clients, now 25 clients and running a program, now 25 clients and leading a group, now 25 clients. And what ends up happening is, in order for me to be able to hold the things that I am manifesting, I have to become less of, of who I want to be. What that looks like is I sacrifice a little bit more time with my family. I might not spend as much time with my son. Maybe I put him in daycare so that I have enough time to be able to be with these clients. Maybe I'm seeing my husband less. Maybe my business is skyrocketing. Maybe I get that promotion, but now I'm not really spending the time in the garden that I really, really wanted to spend time on. Maybe I have this passion with photography or art, but I'm not doing that anymore because work, you know. But that's okay because I'm getting the stuff. And so as that continuously happens, we deny us more and more and more to make room for the stuff that we are manifesting. And eventually something happens where we start to realize that the more external manifestations that we do, the less we feel internally satisfied, because we're having to deny who we really want to be. So we have energy and time to do the things that we feel we need to do in order to manifest more. And so subconsciously, as we are manifesting more and more and feeling less and less and less and less like who we were designed to be, we start to connect that more means more exhaustion, means more work, means less time with my family, means more frustration, means more energy, means more problems, means more bills, means more bigger house, means more cleaning. And in our quest for the abundance of things, we start to realize that we are less and less and less and less internally satisfied, because we have denied ourselves, we have stopped quantum leaping, and we have started chasing the stuff. What we can do instead of that is, instead of focusing on manifesting the stuff, we can focus on manifesting the becoming. And as we continue to become more and more and more and more, the stuff becomes a byproduct of us stepping more into our being, more into our authenticity, more into who we were designed and called to be. Now, if you focus on manifesting the becoming, and the stuff becomes a byproduct of who you are, you don't lose it, because the becoming is permanent. Unless I'm in some, physical accident that, leads to me being quadriplegic. Once I've learned to walk from crawling, you don't see me go back to crawling. Now I walk, right? And so when we focus on developing the self, when we focus on who we are becoming, that stays with us. But when we focus ourselves on attaining the external, finding the right business model that's going to work, finding that ideal client, pitching that sale, landing that job, all of that stuff can fall right through our hands. In fact, if we're not manifesting through being feminine energy, and instead we're manifesting just by doing masculine energy, that stuff is bound to fall away. Either subconsciously we let it go, because subconsciously we recognize that it's actually hindering us from progressing, it's killing us, because now we've halted our own growth, or we haven't become the person that can handle that much stuff, that much responsibility. But if we've been focused on manifesting and developing the self, the quantum leaping, then when that stuff comes, because it's a vibrational match to who we've become, we can hold it. This is really hard for us to comprehend from where we are right now, because just like it's impossible for the baby to understand what it would be like to form a thought and to speak and to walk, and just like it is nearly impossible for the 5-year-old to understand what it will be like to be 20 and behind the seat of the wheel driving and having the experiences that 20-year-olds have. It's impossible for us to see the future version of ourselves. It's impossible for us to really understand what it will be like to embody the next iteration of ourselves. From where we're standing right now, it's impossible for us to see that next version. We don't see it until we quantum leap there and then look back and go, holy shit, I remember when I couldn't even. And even now, can you remember when you couldn't speak? Can you remember when you couldn't walk? Those old versions of us fall away. In the same way that we mourn our babies, we never really talk about this. How many versions of your children have you mourned that you will never see again? Because they've quantum leaped into a new version of themselves. The same way that we mourn that, as adults, we can often hinder ourselves from quantum leaping into the future because we don't want to mourn the identity that we have right now. We think we are going to lose ourselves by allowing ourselves to change and to become something different. What will that mean for my friendships? What will that mean for my business? What would that mean for my spouse? What would that mean if I become somebody different? That unknown, it's scary to us. So we attach and we latch on to who we are. And instead of us developing us, instead of us manifesting the becoming, then instead of us calling in the future version of us, we become distracted by how can I attain the things. Have you ever noticed that somebody in your life has manifested the things that you want? And you can get really frustrated with it. Why? I started a business and she started the same type of a business, and now she's making all that money and I'm not making that money. Or I had that same idea and it's working for her, but it's not working for me. Or have you ever seen somebody attain so much and they lose it all? And there's maybe a little part of you that's like, hey, I knew that wouldn't last. And the reason why that is happening is because we are fixating on what the person is attaining instead of focus on who is that person becoming. And if they're not becoming somebody that can hold what it is that they manifest, it's all going to fall away anyway. I recently found out that somebody who I look up to, who started her own business and is making millions of dollars and doing all the things that I wanted to and bought her dream property and doing all of that, she lifted the veil and I got to see behind the veil. She's hiding the fact that she's in an abusive relationship. She's hiding the fact that he's been stealing money from her. Hiding the fact that even though she makes millions, there's been months she couldn't make payroll. Hiding the fact that she may lose the house that she bought, the dream house. And the position that she's in right now is an opportunity for her to become the person that can actually hold those manifestations. So when we talk about the difference between manifesting stuff versus manifesting becoming, what am I even talking about here, right? So let's see. Let's talk about money first. I manifest, let's say, I manifest $1 million. Have you ever heard the quote by Jim Rohn that says, if you want $1 million, best you become a millionaire or else you'll lose it? And the first time I heard that, I was like, that doesn't make sense. If you have $1 million, you're a millionaire. He wasn't talking about the fact that you have $1 million. Having $1 million doesn't make you a millionaire. Millionaires think a certain way. People who are being millionaires, not just have the money, people who they're being millionaires, they think a certain way. They handle a certain amount of stress. They can hold that type of money and not freak out. You see, the lottery changed my life. Almost every single person who is just given the money without becoming the type of person who can hold that money loses it. Because physical manifestations mean nothing if you have not become the person that can hold the energy of that manifestation. So when you have $1 million, these are the things that can come to you. The being. Who do you have to be able to hold that million? This is emotional regulation. Can I handle big waves of emotion? Self-discipline. Wisdom. Can I be self-disciplined in managing that money? Can I be wise about that money? Where's my intuition? Where's my discernment? I forgot an O in there. So that I can intuitively use my discernment to know how to handle that. If somebody's coming into my life and saying, hey, I have the best thing ever, it's an investment, you invest that $1 million right now, you're going to become rich. And if you're not intuitive, if you don't have discernment, if you're not wise, if you don't know how to handle those emotional waves, you might get caught up and invest all of that money, make a bad business decision and lose it. Who are you becoming? Are you more patient? Are you becoming somebody who can have difficult conversations? Have you become somebody who can forgive? When you stop focusing on manifesting the external stuff that you think is going to give you the life experience that you really desire, when you stop focusing on attaching the feelings that you want to feel with stuff. If I had more money, I'd feel safer. I don't think so. If you're scared right now of money, and you manifested $1 million, that fear is only going to grow, because now the fear that you're going to lose it is so much bigger. The stakes are higher at 1 million. And so if you can stop focusing on trying to manifest all the external things that give you this illusion that they will give you the qualities that you are looking for in life, and instead focus on manifesting the becoming, manifesting the quantum leap, manifesting the higher version of yourself, the new iteration of yourself. When you do that, this stuff is going to just come. It's going to be a byproduct of who you are. And I know that that can seem so backwards because of the way that we've been conditioned to think. But it is not what we do. It's who we are when we're doing it that matters. It's not the tools that we have. It's the hands that are using the tools that make the difference. I can put a paintbrush in one person's hand and their painting can look, and I can put that paintbrush in a painter's hand and it's a completely different experience, a masterpiece. It has nothing to do with the paintbrush and the paint. It has everything to do with who the person is that is holding that paintbrush. You are the magic, not the stuff, not the externals, not the job, not the money, not the position, not the book deal. You are the magic. And when you nurture and pour into you, you bear fruit. I can go to the grocery store every day and I can buy an avocado. The next day, buy an avocado. The next day, buy an avocado. Or I could grow an avocado in my backyard and water it, nurture it, allow the sun to shine down on it, and it will produce the fruit that I want. That's what I'm talking about here. Are you out there at the store trying to buy up all the avocados? Are you out there trying to make the money, trying to find the clients, trying to do the next best thing, the right business model? What's it going to be? How's this going to work? Or are you watering, sunlight, nutrients, and allowing just you being you to bear all of the fruit that you so desperately are chasing? If this lands for you, if you like this type of material, follow me. Love you guys.